YouTube, what's going on? As you can tell by the title, Myles Turner decides he's going to sign with the Bucks, formerly of the Indiana Pacers, who have just come off of a finals run, one game off of a chip. This man decides to leave. In my opinion, I would have to say there has to be more to that. He had to be truly offended by the offers that Indiana was making to him for him to leave off one game. And then that game, I mean, if you look at the game, it was set up to be a really good game until Halliburton went down. I mean, he came out swinging. Halliburton, I'm talking about, came out swinging. He was ready to lead the team to a championship potentially in that game 7, but unfortunately, it was not the case. And what happens many of times, this is the losing side of the finals. We see OKC, they even had to let off a few of their guys. Dylan Brooks, I think, was one, in order to keep Jalen Williams. So, you know, this happens, right? This happens. And I just think it's crazy how he decided to sign to a rival. I mean, Halliburton and Lillard, they were going at it for a while, but I guess, that rivalry is kind of subsided now that Lillard's been waived. I think that was expected because Lillard, he just didn't show up. I mean, he was hurt, and in the times that he was playing, I think they were meshing and they were going into the playoffs with some momentum, but unfortunately, he got hurt again, and that was kind of all she wrote for the Bucks. But they are retooling, and I'll be making more. I guess this is like an initial reaction, and then I'll make team previews as the season gets closer and the teams are much more finalized. As of right now, it's free agent weekend or free agent week, whatever. You know how the off season is in the NBA, so I'm not gonna jump to any conclusions on any teams until I know that this rosters are finalized. So the Bucks signed with uh they signed Myles Turner, sorry, and I think it's a good signing. Looking at the roster, they get to keep Kuzma. They've still got Giannis, of course. They've basically let go Brook Lopez and brought in Myles Turner, which is a huge upgrade, right? A huge upgrade. Probably the third option, consensus third option on the Pacers, maybe outside TJ McConnell. And for him to have the inside presence that he does alongside Giannis, I think is going to wreak havoc, in the Eastern Conference especially. I think they can match up well against teams like the Knicks, which is who you need to really be looking out for. The Celtics are pretty much done off. A lot of these teams in the East are big men oriented, right? We've got Cleveland with Mobley. We've got, the Knicks, as I just said, with Towns and Robinson. Then you've got Orlando, where they've got these real mobile bigs like Franz Wagner and um, Paolo Banchero. These teams are more big man oriented, bigger teams. You need a lot more, size, pause, when you're in the Eastern Conference. So I think this is a great signing for the Bucks. I think they need to upgrade their perimeter. They need to get some wing scoring, guys that can create their own shots. That was the issue with the Bucks. They could not generate offense. They re-signed KPJ. That's a good move. I think he's a good fit for the team, but they need some perimeter shooting. AJ Green was the only guy hitting shots, and then Gary Trent came on, but it was too late. He came on too late. He should have been hitting shots. He got benched. So, I mean, like, he was having a horrible season, but I think that's a testament to the team. The team was just not very good. I think Brook Lopez, he needs to retire. That dude, watching him play, I mean, he's lucky he's 7 feet. He's been living off that and that chip. So, good for him. But not to get too much off subject, I think this is a good signing. I think if they continue to retool around the perimeter now, the Bucks could still be a player. They should not have lost in the first round, but then again, the Pacers, I mean, they were just making comebacks on everyone. So it was just their year. Sometimes they came into the playoffs hot. They were having a terrible season, if anyone remembers. The season really wasn't that good. Halliburton wasn't playing that good. And they just ended up having a run during the playoffs going into it. And they rode that momentum and they were beating teams they just shouldn't have beaten. So, Myles Turner signs with the Bucks. I think he's made their team better. And we're going to continue to see what goes on in the offseason. That's about it for this video. Talk to you guys in the next one.